Welcome to No Sleep, where the night never ends, and every whisper in the dark could be something real. Tonight's story isn't just horror. It's a memory, a warning, a door that should have stayed closed. So turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and whatever you do, don't fall asleep. I run a print shop in a quiet corner of town. Nothing fancy, just a narrow 2-room space with the constant hum of printers and the smell of ink embedded in the walls. It's a humble job, and most of my orders are the usual: wedding invitations, custom mugs, embarrassing t-shirts for bachelor parties. Occasionally, I get a school project from a college student who needs something bound quickly. Predictable, mindless, safe. Last Monday started like any other. I arrived early to beat the heat that builds up by noon. The fan by my desk rattled on low, and I scrolled through my email while sipping lukewarm coffee. I wasn't ready for what I saw in my inbox. From face listing / final proofs, subject, urgent order. The body of the message was precise, too precise. I need these images printed at 11 by 14 on 200 GSM matte paper. Each photo should have a 0.5-inch white border, one-sided, bind with black coils into a book. The cover must read in cursive, Faces in Passing, Volume 1, let me know the cost. Accuracy is critical. Attached was a zip file titled Volume 1 Zip. I hesitated. The tone was cold, robotic even, like it was written by a machine programmed to demand perfection. Still, I've dealt with worse. As long as they paid, it didn't matter. I unzipped the file and opened the first few images. Portraits, dozens of them. Men, women, children, aged anywhere from toddlers to elderly, all staring straight into the lens with neutral expressions. No smiles, no glamour, just faces. Captured either in natural light or poorly lit rooms, some looked like they were taken in haste. A few weren't even photos. They were sketches, disturbing ones, the kind you'd expect from a police artist, not an art student. There was something off about them. Something I couldn't put into words. A weight in their eyes, as if they knew something I didn't. But I'd seen weirder. I replied with a polite estimate, $28.42, including shipping, and a payment link. Within seconds, I got a notification. The payment had gone through. I completed the job in less than an hour. I printed the photos exactly to spec, added the white borders, formatted the cover just as requested. It felt mechanical, like I was assembling something sacred or cursed. I sealed the finished book in a bubble mailer and handed it off to the USPS driver when he arrived for pickups. It should have ended there. That night, I had trouble sleeping. My wife, Erin, asked if something was wrong. I said no, brushing it off as exhaustion. But I couldn't shake the sensation that I'd done something irreversible. The following morning, I woke up to Erin watching the news in the living room. A reporter's voice echoed from the screen. Authorities are continuing their search for 27-year-old Sarah Mitchell, last seen 2 weeks ago near Upper Glenway. She's described as 5'6", brown hair, green eyes. Family members are pleading for her safe return. Then the anchor said, "Here's a photo." And my blood froze. I had printed that face. The same expressionless eyes. The same subtle shadows. I remembered lining up the border just right. Sarah Mitchell's photo was in the book I mailed out yesterday. Erin didn't notice my reaction. She was sipping her coffee, scrolling through her phone. But I stood there, hollow, my mind spinning. This couldn't be a coincidence. At the shop, I reopened the zip file, scrolled through each image. My gut twisted tighter with every click. Sarah Mitchell was just one of them. I recognized more faces from recent news reports, local posters, online missing person databases. I ran reverse image searches. Nearly all the photos matched active missing person cases. Some dated back years. Others were only days old. A few had no names, just John and Jane Does found with no identity. What the hell had I printed? I called the police. I explained what happened. An officer took my statement seriously, at least initially. He took a copy of the email, the address the book had been shipped to, and a few sample photos. The next day, he called back. "Sir, we traced the shipping address. The house is real, but it's been abandoned for nearly 5 years. Neighbors say no one's been there since the previous owner passed away." I asked if the email could be tracked. No sender info. It's routed through a proxy server overseas. Could be a dead end. I pressed him, asked if there was anything more they could do. His tone shifted. "Look, no crime was committed. You printed a book. That's all. Unless someone comes forward with evidence linking this to a specific disappearance, there's nothing we can charge anyone with." I felt sick. I'd helped someone document, what, trophies? Memories? A catalog of the missing? And someone out there now had a professionally bound collection of human suffering, courtesy of me. That night, I couldn't eat. I couldn't look Aaron in the eyes without remembering Sarah Mitchell's lifeless photo. I deleted the file from my computer, but kept a backup on a USB drive, just in case. But I prayed I'd never hear from that email again. A week passed. The days dragged by, each one steeped in a weird, humming anxiety I couldn't shake. The air in the print shop felt thicker. Every order I received was a small relief. It meant I was still in the real world, grounded by normal customers with normal requests. But I kept checking the inbox. Not because I wanted to, but because I had to. I needed to know if it would come again. And then, it did. The email arrived at 2:14 a.m. on Sunday morning. I wasn't even awake to see it. But when I walked into the shop on Monday, something in me knew it was waiting. Same sender. Face listing law final proofs. .co. Same subject line. Urgent order. The body of the email was chilling in its calm repetition. I need another book. Same specs as before, but label it Faces in Passing, Volume 2. Payment has already been submitted. Thank you. And there it was. Another zip file titled Volume2.zip. My heart pounded so hard I nearly heard it. I didn't want to open it, but my hands moved anyway, almost like they were under someone else's control. I double-clicked the file. Another 30 images. More faces. More eyes that stared blankly, almost knowingly, through the screen. And then I saw it. Photo17.jpg. My throat went dry. It was Erin, my wife. Her face, expressionless, lit by a flat white light like she was sitting in front of a camera she didn't want to be in front of. Her mouth was slightly parted. Her eyes, green and usually filled with warmth, looked distant, cold. I dropped the mouse. My first instinct was denial. It had to be a lookalike. Maybe it was some image pulled from her social media or from a candid photo. But the background wasn't our house. The lighting didn't match anything we owned. It wasn't a stolen picture. This had been taken. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands and called her. No answer. Again. Straight to voicemail. I called 3 more times before I ran outside, jumped into my car, and tore down the street. 10 minutes later, I was home, bursting through the front door like a madman. "Erin," I shouted. Silence. I checked every room. Nothing. Her keys were on the kitchen counter. Her purse was open, sitting next to her phone. It was still unlocked, halfway through a paused podcast. Her car was still in the driveway. There was no sign of forced entry, no struggle, nothing. It was as if she had just stepped outside and never returned. I called 911. When the operator picked up, I felt like I was speaking through water. My mouth was moving faster than my thoughts. I told them everything. She was missing. I'd received an email. Her photo was in the file. An officer arrived within 30 minutes. I showed him the file. I told him about Volume 1, about Sarah Mitchell, about the abandoned house. He listened, but I could see the skepticism building with every word. The deeper I got, the more I sounded like a conspiracy theorist, unraveling at the seams. So you're saying someone sent you a photo of your wife before she went missing? And this happened after you printed a book of missing people? Yes. And you think the same person is responsible? I know they are. Do you have any evidence of a break-in? Surveillance footage? Messages threatening your wife? No, but her picture. Look, he interrupted gently. You've done the right thing calling this in. But people disappear for all kinds of reasons. Adults, especially. She might have left on her own. She didn't leave. Her stuff is here. Her phone is here. She was taken. The officer looked at me for a long moment. Then he nodded and promised they'd file a report. But there was doubt in his voice. After he left, I sat on the floor, back against the wall, holding Erin's phone in both hands. I went through her messages, her photos, her emails. Nothing out of the ordinary. No sign of fear or secrets. No red flags. Just gone. Vanished. By that night, I broke. I reopened the email and typed back a single word. Why? I didn't expect a response, but one came within an hour. Accuracy is critical. That was it. No explanation, no demands, no taunt. Just that sentence. My hands trembled as I typed again. Where is she? What do you want? I'll pay anything. No reply. I sat in the dark with my laptop screen burning into my eyes, waiting. Nothing came. Until the next morning. Another email. Subject, Volume 3. No message body, just a zip file. I didn't want to open it. But I did. Among the new batch of faces, 28 this time, not 30, was one that made my entire body go numb. It wasn't a photo. It was a police sketch. A pencil-drawn image of a man with bags under his eyes and a blank stare. It took me a moment to recognize him. It was me. A missing person sketch of me. I didn't go to the print shop the next day. There was no point. Everything inside me felt shredded, like I had passed some invisible threshold I could never come back from. I didn't even remember falling asleep, but I woke up on the living room floor, laptop open, battery dead. Erin's phone still gripped in my hand like a lifeline that had long since snapped. That sketch, my own face, filed alongside the missing, like I was already gone. I powered up the laptop, plugged it in, and stared at the folder from Volume 3. All the faces now felt like ghosts looking directly at me. I imagined them breathing, blinking slowly in the dark. I imagined someone taking the photos, someone close, inches away from them, watching them in their last known moment. Then something hit me, something I'd ignored before. The lighting. In every photo, Erin's included, the background and light source were eerily consistent. The same dim, flat white glare. The same gray backdrop, devoid of shadows. It wasn't natural lighting, it was artificial. Clinical. I zoomed in on Erin's image. Behind her head, partially blurred by depth of field, I saw something. A hook mounted on the wall. Not just any hook, a medical restraint, like you'd find in a hospital, or worse, an institution. My chest tightened. I scrolled through other photos. 2 more had that same hook in the corner, One had a drain on the tiled floor. Another had a stainless steel table behind the subject, with what looked like straps folded neatly on top. They were taken in the same place. They were being held somewhere. Suddenly, the face sketch of me felt like more than a warning. It felt like a promise, or a countdown. I needed help, real help, but the police had already written me off as unstable. I needed someone else, someone who would actually listen. So I called my old friend Adam. We hadn't spoken in a while, not since he moved to the city and joined a private investigation firm, but I knew he was sharp and didn't trust anything at face value. When he answered, I didn't waste time. Adam, I think someone kidnapped Aaron, and I think they're sending me photos of other missing people, including a sketch of me. There was silence. Then, calmly, where are you right now? Home. Stay there. Don't touch anything else. I'm on my way. He arrived 2 hours later. When I opened the door, his eyes immediately scanned me, like he was already building a psychological profile. You look like shit, he said, then paused. Let's sit down. I showed him everything, the emails, the books, the images, the sketch. He said almost nothing as he scrolled through the files, but I could see it in his eyes. He believed me, or at least, he knew I believed myself. When he finished, he pushed the laptop away. This is not random. This is curated. Whoever's behind this, they're organized. They've got access to information the public doesn't have. Some of these people were never identified. You said some of these sketches are Jane and John Doe's. Yes. A few were even from cold cases. So either someone inside law enforcement is sending you these, or someone with very high-level access is collecting them. Why me? Adam didn't answer right away. Then he leaned forward. Did you ever print something you shouldn't have? Something illegal? Dangerous? No, not knowingly. Did you ever work with hospitals, police departments, mental institutions? I hesitated. Years ago, I did some print jobs for a private psychiatric clinic outside town. They had me do patient wristbands, room signage, incident logs, stuff like that. Adam blinked slowly. What was the name of the clinic? Graceland Behavioral Center? He nodded like something clicked. I've heard that name before. There were rumors years ago, patients going missing, staff turnover, hush-hush lawsuits. The place shut down, didn't it? Yeah. Maybe 5 years ago. Adam stood and started pacing. He pulled out his phone and started making calls, asking about Graceland, former employees, and abandoned properties near its old location. While he worked, I sat on the couch and reopened Volume 3. I kept returning to my sketch. Who drew it, and when? Then something new happened. My phone buzzed with a new email. Subject, urgent correction. From facelistingfinalproofs.co. Your image was submitted prematurely. Please discard Volume 3. You will receive the corrected file shortly. I stared at it. My hands went cold. I showed it to Adam, who immediately stopped his call. They're watching you. That's not just a message. That's a surveillance warning. They're here? He didn't answer. Instead, he opened his laptop and ran a trace on the original zip file metadata. His brow furrowed. The files were last modified at 3:07 a.m. today. My clock read 4:18 a.m. They had made changes to the file barely an hour ago, before the sun had even risen. That meant they weren't just watching. They were close. Adam closed the laptop. We're leaving now. Where? Anywhere but here. If they're using your own system against you, this place isn't safe. As we packed, I had one last thought. A sick, burning question in the pit of my stomach. If they hadn't meant to include me in Volume 3 yet, then when exactly were they planning to? And worse, what happens when I'm volume 4? We didn't pack much, just our essentials. Adam insisted on leaving all electronics behind. Phones, laptops, even the shop's USB drives. He said if they had eyes in my email and access to photo files, they might be tracking more than we realized. I didn't argue. Not after the last message. Your image was submitted prematurely. They hadn't just seen me. They were cataloging me. Like a specimen. Like a file that wasn't ready for viewing. The night air outside felt unusually still. Like the world itself had paused for something to arrive. Adam drove. I sat in the passenger seat, staring out at the quiet suburban streets, with eyes that now saw differently. I scanned every corner, every parked car, every person on the sidewalk, like they were actors in some horrifying script I couldn't read. We didn't go to a hotel. Adam took us to a safe house owned by his PI firm. An old converted cabin, 30 minutes out of town, down a gravel path in the woods. No Wi-Fi, no neighbors, no digital footprint. We set up our gear, burner phones, offline laptops, and Adam's specialty, signal jammers. The place became a bunker. Once we were sure no one had followed us, Adam opened a secure virtual machine and began dissecting the files again. "We have to find the origin," he muttered, "or at least where these images are being taken. If we can find the location, maybe we can find Aaron and whoever's next." I watched as he pulled metadata from Volume 3's images. Most files had been scrubbed, but a few still had embedded GPS traces, partial, corrupted, but traceable. One of them had coordinates. Adam cross-referenced it with satellite data. What came up made my blood freeze. "Is that?" "Yeah," Adam said grimly. "It's the site of Graceland Behavioral. The place I used to print signage for. The place that shut down after mysterious lawsuits and patient complaints. The GPS ping was located in a service tunnel beneath the main building." Adam looked at me. "You ready to see where this all began? Graceland Behavioral Center, abandoned." We drove there at dawn. The property had been fenced off, overgrown with weeds and moss. The sign out front was cracked, but the letters Graceland still clung to the rusting metal frame like forgotten teeth. The front entrance was chained and sealed, so we circled to the back, toward the delivery bays and maintenance access. That's when I saw something that made my skin crawl. The service tunnel entrance. Just like in the photos, the same dull gray wall, the same hooks, even the same type of drain embedded in the concrete floor just outside the door. This was it. Adam cracked the lock with practiced ease. We stepped inside with flashlights and masks, because the stench was immediate. Not just decay, something chemical, something artificial, like plastic and antiseptic layered over mold and rot. The walls were lined with faded safety signage, some printed by me years ago. Patient escort zone. Photography prohibited. The deeper we went, the colder it got. Eventually, we reached a wide room with overhead lighting fixtures, still intact, wires dangled, tables stood pushed to the corners. And in the center of the floor, painted in thick white, was a symbol, a circle of overlapping lines, like a star within an eye. I didn't recognize it, but Adam did. That's a containment glyph, old, occult. I've seen it used in cult cases, usually tied to rituals, but this one's institutional, refined. There were no bodies, no evidence of violence, but the walls were different. They were lined with photos, printed, framed, labeled, the same faces. Volumes 1, 2, and beyond. Aaron's was there, Sarah Mitchell, dozens of others, all printed exactly like I had. 11x14 matte paper, half-inch border. Some had notes below them, names, dates, places they were taken from, and one of them was me. still labeled as premature submission. But now, someone had drawn a red X through it, and under that, written in ink, were 2 words: corrected version. I felt bile rise in my throat. That meant a new image of me was either taken or being taken now. I turned to Adam. "We have to leave, now." But he was already staring at something else. A camera, mounted in the ceiling, blinking slowly, active. He swore and pulled his phone out. Despite the signal jammer, something else was transmitting. They're still using this place. That email? It wasn't just a collector. This is a hub. Someone is running this as an active operation. Then a new sound echoed through the hall. A printer in the adjacent room. I moved without thinking, adrenaline guiding me. Inside, we found a commercial-grade photo printer, same model I had in my shop. On the tray was a freshly printed image. It was me. Not the sketch, not the surveillance image. This one was high resolution, taken from the outside of the cabin. My reflection in the window from last night. I backed away, nearly tripping. That meant they'd found us at the safe house. They'd been there, and they'd photographed me while I slept. Adam looked ready to pull a gun. I didn't even realize he was armed. He ripped the printer from the table and smashed it against the ground. "They're not just watching us," he growled. "They're hunting you. You're next. This isn't just an archive. It's a harvest." Before we left, Adam pulled a hard drive from the workstation and shoved it into his backpack. "Whatever's on here," he said, "it's their master list, their operation logs. We get it decrypted, we find out who's running this." I nodded, but I wasn't focused on that anymore. I was thinking about the timing. If this place was active, if my image had just printed, then Volume 4 had already begun. We didn't drive straight back to the safe house. It wasn't safe anymore. That much was obvious. Instead, Adam took us to a second location, an old family farm on the outskirts of the county that his firm had once used for surveillance training. No electricity, no cell towers nearby, just wind, creaking wood, and black fields that stretched into the horizon like an open grave. I didn't sleep that night. Neither did Adam. We spent hours combing through the hard drive we pulled from the facility under Graceland. It was encrypted with something unfamiliar, even to him, but the directory structure alone was enough to send chills through both of us. There were volumes, labeled just like the ones I had printed. Volume 1, Volume 2, and so on. But they didn't stop at 3, or even 4. There were 8 volumes in total. Each folder was filled with subfolders, images, metadata logs, physical descriptions, timestamps, locations, and something labeled post-archive status. That field bothered me the most. Some said deceased, some said transferred, but some, like Sarah Mitchell, like Aaron, simply said pending. Pending what? What are they waiting for? I asked Adam. What happens when that status changes? He didn't respond. Instead, he focused on one subfolder, Volume 4/pre-render. Inside were 5 images. Only 5. Each one crystal clear, recently taken. One was of me again, this time taken from behind, standing at the cabin window holding a flashlight. The file was named Subject 4A Final.jpg. Another showed Adam at the wheel of his car. Subject 4B Prep.jpg. The other 3 were of people I didn't recognize, but all of them had something in common. They were alive, unaware they were being watched, photographed, cataloged, and they were all marked as subjects. Adam stared at his image for a long moment. They've expanded the list. Why us? I asked. Why me? He clicked open a text document labeled Volume 4, Submission Notes. Inside was a list of observations, dry, clinical, but horrifying. Subject 4A, primary, awareness confirmed. Resistance behavior increasing. Escalation required. Subject 4B, secondary, affiliate, risk of interference. Include in Volume 4. Subject 4C, location acquired. Pre-collection scheduled. Subject 4D, transferred from Volume 2, misidentified. Status corrected. Subject 4E, observed interacting with 4A. Add for continuity. We stared at each other. They were planning something, a collection, and we were part of it. I had the sudden urge to destroy everything, to smash the laptop, the drive, burn the folders, scream until the walls cracked. But that wouldn't change the fact that something, was ahead of us. Every step we took, they were already 5 ahead. Adam tried reaching out to his firm, burner phone, encrypted line, but no one answered. Instead, the phone buzzed, an incoming message from facelistingfinalproofs.co. Subject, Volume 4, live preview. No body text, just a single link. We stared at it. Adam hovered his thumb over the screen. You don't have to. I do, he said. He tapped the link. The screen flickered, loading a live feed, a grainy black and white view of the very room we were in, from above. I stared up at the ceiling instinctively. No camera, nothing visible, but the angle matched. The timing matched. The feed was real time. Then something moved in the frame. The door. It creaked open slowly. In the video, we both turned at once. But in the real world, it hadn't moved. On the screen, a figure stepped inside. Not a person. Not entirely. It was faceless, wrapped in something like gauze or bandages. Limbs too long. Head tilted unnaturally to one side like it had been sewn in place. The feed glitched. It was standing right behind Adam. I lunged to tackle him out of the way, just as the feed cut to static. He hit the floor hard, gasping. There was nothing behind him. No figure, no sound. Just the wind brushing the barn outside, and the blood pounding in our ears. The email vanished. We tried refreshing, searching, recovering the link, but it was gone, like it had never existed. Adam sat up, rubbing the back of his head. That wasn't a video. That was a threat. They can see us, here, now. He didn't argue. Instead, he stood and said something I never expected. We have to go public. What? We can't outrun them, not alone. But if we expose them, if we release everything, maybe we can break whatever control they have. Put the eyes back on them. You think they'll let us do that? I think it's the only shot we have. He looked dead serious, focused, driven. But I wasn't sure anymore, because in the back of my mind, something whispered. Maybe they wanted us to go public. Maybe this was just another step in the script. After all, Volume 4 wasn't finished yet. We didn't sleep again. There wasn't time. By morning, we had copied every file, every volume, every folder, every cryptic note, onto multiple encrypted drives. Adam planned to send them to journalists, independent security analysts, and a few trusted contacts inside law enforcement. Not just one person, all at once. A digital shotgun blast. They can't erase everyone, he said, his voice firm but brittle. If enough eyes see this, the game changes. I believed him. I had to. We set up in a public library 30 miles from the barn, somewhere with real internet and enough foot traffic to slow down anyone watching. Adam connected through VPN tunnels and burner relays. He drafted an email titled, Subject, Missing Persons Cover-Up. Please read immediately. He uploaded the volumes, attached summary notes, linked to a cloud archive with mirror links ready to auto-distribute if tampered with. He hovered over the Send All button. Once I click this, he said, there's no going back. I looked at the screen, at the list of names, photos, data logs, sketches of me, my wife, and dozens of others. You think it will help? I asked. I don't know, but it'll make them react. That's all we need, a break in the pattern. He pressed send. The messages were gone, launched into the world like a flare in a pitch-black night. We waited. The first reaction came fast. Within 10 minutes, 3 of the recipients responded. 2 were journalists. One was a cybersecurity expert who confirmed the files had unique encrypted markers, military grade, untraceable, but designed to function like a virus if tampered with. Then, silence. Total blackout. No more responses. No follow-ups. Just nothing. Adam refreshed the inbox. That's not good. What do you mean? This isn't them being cautious. This is them scrubbing. He checked the mirror links. All were down. The archive had vanished from the cloud. The backups were still on our drives, but the world was already forgetting. That's when I noticed something strange on the library computer. The screen flickered, not like a system crash, but like it was responding. Then a video file auto-downloaded onto the desktop. File name, Volume 4 broadcast, final.mp4. We stared at it. A chill ran through my spine. Adam tried to delete it, but the file opened on its own, full screen. The video began to play. The broadcast. It opened with a familiar scene, my print shop. From the security camera feed above the register. The footage rewound, sped forward, showed me printing volume 1, flipping through the pages, boxing them up, handing them to the courier. Then a voice. Not a human voice, mechanical, genderless, calm. Subject 4A, origin trace confirmed. Seed node identified. More footage, me at home, arguing with Aaron, smiling on the couch, walking alone, then her, Aaron, sitting in a gray room, Hook behind her, eyes staring at the floor. Another voice layered beneath the first, overlapping like overlapping audio tracks. Subject 4A, connection profile, marital, psychological fracture, escalating, isolation effective. Adam and I stood frozen. The feed jumped. Now it showed him, Adam, loading weapons, entering Graceland, extracting the hard drive. Subject 4B, contamination vector detected, contingency active. The video zoomed out to a timeline. Black lines, dozens of them, labeled with names and images. Volumes 1 through 8. In the center, Volume 4 pulsed red, and under it, 3 faces. Mine, Adam's, Aaron's. Then the image warped, pixelated, darkened, and a phrase appeared. This is not a message. This is an index. We yanked the computer plug from the wall, but the screen stayed on, glowing. Then, it turned into a live feed. Back to the barn. Back to the exact room we had left that morning. Inside stood a man, wearing my face. Identical. Expressionless. He was holding a printed photo. It was me, sleeping. The feed cut. Silence. Then every computer in the library crashed. Every screen blacked out. Phones around us began buzzing violently, and some people screamed, others fled. Adam grabbed me. We have to leave. Right now. The chase. We barely made it out before a black SUV turned onto the lot. No plates. Tires silent. We drove for hours. Back roads. Dirt trails. Anything off-grid? Adam didn't say a word. Neither did I. Finally, we stopped at a run-down motel with no working cameras. Inside the room, we locked every bolt, pulled the blinds, and turned on a single lamp. Adam sat on the bed, visibly shaking. They're not just watching, they're replicating. What do you mean? Did you see it? That thing in the video, wearing your face? That wasn't AI. That wasn't CGI. That was you. But it wasn't. No, It's worse. It's what they use when the real one's gone, when the archive is complete. I didn't respond, because I suddenly understood. That's why they were so methodical, why the volumes were so exact, why Erin looked dead inside in that photo. Because she wasn't missing. She was archived. And if I didn't find a way to stop this, soon I would be too. The motel room felt like a coffin. The wallpaper peeled in the corners, and the buzz from the flickering light above us matched the quiet panic inside my chest. Adam was pacing, sweating, muttering to himself in half-thoughts while staring at his last remaining burner phone. "We have one chance left," he said. "One place they haven't scrubbed yet." He meant Dark Trace, a decentralized, encrypted network his firm once used to leak classified evidence anonymously. It wasn't just off the grid, it was buried beneath it, accessed only through layered spoof nodes, not searchable, not linkable, not traceable, supposedly. We didn't have long. As Adam worked, I opened the final folder we hadn't dared look into before. Volume 5, Draft. I told myself I was doing it to stay ahead, to learn their next targets. But I think, deep down, I already knew. The first image was of a child, 8 years old, maybe. Blank stare. Identified only as Subject 5A. The next was a teenager, Subject 5B. Then a man in his 60s, Subject 5C. And then, I saw it. Subject 5D, Erin. Again. But this photo was different. This time, she was smiling. Her eyes looked directly into the camera, wide and hollow, and her smile wasn't natural. It was too wide, like someone had taught her how to smile, but not why. I kept scrolling, Subject 5E, Adam. He was looking down at a computer screen, expression lit by blue light. This photo had been taken minutes ago. I turned. He hadn't seen it yet. He was typing furiously. I scrolled to the final photo in the draft. Subject 5F. Me. But this wasn't a surveillance photo. This was taken from the front, head on. Perfect lighting, half-inch white border, and at the bottom of the image, final submission approved. A chill ran down my spine. I called out to Adam, "Stop. It's done. They've already..." But I didn't finish the sentence, because the lights cut out. All of them. The lamp, the hallway, even the buzzing neon outside the window. The room fell into absolute black. Adam froze. "Don't move," he whispered. I didn't. We stood in that choking silence for maybe a minute. Then came the knock. Tap, tap, tap. Not on the door. On the glass behind the curtain. Slow, patient, rhythmic. Adam reached into his coat, pulled out his gun, and flicked the safety off. Then came the whisper. But it wasn't in the room. It was inside me, like a voice curling beneath my skin. "Archive. Ready?" I turned to Adam. He wasn't moving. His eyes were wide, unblinking. I followed his gaze, toward the mirror on the far wall. There were 2 reflections, but only one of them was us. The other was wrong. Same bodies, same faces, but different eyes. Like copies run through too many machines, just slightly blurred. Not human. The knock came again, then the mirror cracked. Just a hairline fracture. But it moved, like a vein spreading across glass. Adam screamed and fired. The sound shattered the silence, but didn't break the mirror. Instead, the reflection stepped out. It didn't break the surface. It simply slid through like the mirror was water. It smiled at us, and so did mine. My copy. I couldn't breathe. Adam pulled me by the arm, and we ran for the door, flinging it open, and stopped, because every motel room door was open, and standing in each threshold was a copy, hundreds of them, faces from volumes 1 through 8, still, silent, waiting. Behind me, I heard the last whisper, not spoken, written, scrawled across the motel wall in red ink that hadn't been there before. Archive complete. Epilogue. They never found the motel, not on maps, not in records. The land it sat on was empty, barren, but sometimes people say they see lights there at night, flickering, pulsing, like old monitors coming to life. And sometimes, new volumes still arrive in inboxes until unmarked drives mailed in unreturnable packaging, always titled Faces in Passing, Volume X, and always labeled Accuracy is Critical. If you ever receive one, don't open it, because if you see your own face inside, it's already too late.